Twitch, send out the Twitter, get our bot in here, and we should be good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is May 15th, and this is the May 15th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we're going to be taking a break from our combat refactor so that we can work on some minor polish. I have made a test build for the coming weekend over at Anime Central. I ran through it, seems fine, but there are a couple of parser bugs that I would like to iron out that I have notes from my previous playtesting session, and I have not really gotten around to fixing those yet. So we're going to do a little bit of fix up on the parser today, run through the intro levels, just make sure that everything still works, and we'll probably call it a little bit of an early night just because I'm in that pre-convention, not really a crunch or anything like that, but I want to just make sure that my build is as polished as can be and doesn't have any problems. So it's not going to be anything particularly spectacular tonight. It's going to be a lot of coding, which I guess means that I should do that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and start off with just playing through the game. I should have turned on Maximize on Play. I did not. Oh man, I'm also regretting not turning on the AC before I started this dev stream because it is hot in my house. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Skip through here. Let's go to the start menu. Oh, that's interesting. A null reference exception. Ah, okay, that's something else. Let's go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna wipe my saves. Part of me making a build for the demo means that I don't include all of the levels that aren't in the demo, but that causes problems sometimes in the editor when it tries to load levels that are not in the demo but should be loadable technically. And anyway, way to get around that is just for me to delete my saves files. So just to do that, let's try that again. I'll take a drink while that's happening. Click through here. All right. So we can't do continue or load. That's good. I should have the compilation flag for TQ demo set. So if I actually try to continue, you'll see it'll say cannot continue in demo. If I try to load, same thing. I believe, yep, extras is also not possible, which probably means I should actually just make that inactive. Let's go to options. I don't recall if benchmark is in here. Let's see. Oh, well, that was not exactly a great thing because of this. Okay, the benchmark probably should also not be enabled on demos. Oh man, this is just magical. Oof. Just, oof. Particles don't work. Animations don't work. Everything's blue. This is kind of fantastic, actually. If this was actually an intentional aesthetic, I would kind of like this solid color on everything. That actually would make for a pretty good thing. Let's go ahead and just return. Click through here. Okay, and so extras doesn't work. That's fine. Benchmark should not really be selectable in demo mode. Well, you know what? Maybe it should be. I guess it doesn't really make sense for me to exclude that because the idea for the demo would be is to have it be the first two levels of the game, and I feel like being able to benchmark it would probably be a good idea. But that's a small thing. I might strip it out just for now because there's not a reason for people at conventions to need that. Let's see. All of my display options should all work. Oh, interesting. VSync is turned off by default. Let's go ahead. Do we need to adjust gamma? I don't think I do. Let's reset that. Hit apply. Hit apply. Make sure that those all kept. Yep. Cool. I can probably actually bump this up to 120. So this is 30, 60, 120, unlimited. And we'll just keep it at 60. Hit apply. Graphics. We don't support anti-aliasing yet. Texture quality does work, although I don't really tend to move it above that. And isotropic filtering is pretty good. Shadow distance 150. I don't actually know if I want that to be higher or lower. It's probably fine as is. Let's go ahead and cancel out audio. We have our ambience. Okay. So the reason I'm testing this, by the way, is because I want to make sure that if I need to, I can adjust audio or graphics options on the fly. In case for some reason my computer can't really handle it very well. It seemed to run fine yesterday, and by computer obviously I don't mean my beast of a machine here. I mean my MacBook laptop, because that's what I take to conventions. Everything seems fine here, and game doesn't really do much yet. So okay, let's go ahead and go back. Let's start a new game. Yes. We will do normal mode. Oh, I do need to run through Sierra mode still, but I can't show you that on the stream. So we'll do left-handed, because usually I do right-handed. And my favorite color this time will be blue. Why not? And of course we're a hero. So let's start this. So we get our first loading screen, a little bit of text fade in, then it goes away. All right, everything seems good. It's volume. It's hard to hear. It's kind of quiet. Okay, I guess it's just because I was... Okay, I just wasn't close enough to them. Alright, so everything seems to work. Before we do anything else, I did have a note about this not working. Okay, that seems to work. Well, false alarm there then. That must have been a bug with the build that I had before. Seems I fixed that at some point. Let's go to load. We'll do 1. We'll do load. And yes. Okay. That should take us back to the start there. Ooh, we got a bit of a double fade in there. Well, that's minor. We'll continue on. So, non-standard game over at the beginning of the game works. I think interactions all work. Let's go ahead and say, like, examine. Looks good. Let's try tab. Okay, so the autocomplete stuff works. Cool. Let's go ahead and take scepter. Let's hold that. Good, it's on the left side because we have a left-handed character. Cool. Let's run up here. Eat. Open the door. Cool. And we're going to continue through here. Cutscene still looks decent. I still haven't figured out a good way to get people to remain focused on this. Obviously, since you can run around, there's really no incentive for you to look at it besides the fact that it's something happening. But I've had more than a few people not really look at what's going on here. Screen shake is much nicer. I'm glad that we added that in. Let's go ahead and interact with the king. Let's say hit. Let's try lick. Let's try move. How about shatter? Okay. Everything seems to be good there. And let's see. There are a couple of things, I think, in the next 2 rooms that I know I need to fix. Some of which I can fix on air, some of which I can't, because they are related to Sierra mode. Before we take, let's go ahead and read this. Okay, looks like our ASCII art's all working as expected. Eat. Fine. Let's go ahead and take it. Make sure that's in our inventory. Cool, it is. Let's open this. And let's see, I think... yes. So we're going to... Actually, you know what? I want to test this not on the gem. We're going to try looking at our staff. Yes. So this is a bug with our parser. Actually, I guess it's not really a bug. It's more like an oversight. If you don't specify a subject when you say to look at something, what it does is it kind of falls through and it eventually gets the environment itself and then tells you where you are. So this is the same output as just this. I don't think actually look around works. Yeah, because I don't have a round. I could say look at room, maybe? Yeah. And I think I can say look staff? Yes. So the problem is that in our first sentence here, we have look at staff. At is a preposition, which indicates a direction towards an indirect object. So the implied subject here is you. So you look at the staff. But because the staff here is being interpreted as the indirect object, it means that it doesn't have a subject, and therefore it's going to make the subject the actual environment. So that's one of the more major issues that we need to fix. And obviously this isn't game breaking, but it certainly is weird. Like if you were a player and you typed in look at staff and then it just gives you a description of the room, that's really weird. So let's go ahead and actually, before I forget, I want to drop the staff and then I want to just look around. Nice. So it does actually continue to list our dropped items. That's cool. So let's take a look at this first issue. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. Yeah, see, this is the other thing. If it's not in your inventory when you try to look at it, it tries to cache this as the thing that's being looked at, or the thing you're using to look at a thing, and that causes this weird double subject / indirect object where you try to examine a thing with itself. And that gets you this output. So those are this is the same bug essentially as the look at room stuff, and we're going to fix that. So before we do that, let's go ahead and clear these, and then we're going to set this parser debug. Oh, it's because I did that backwards, didn't I? Debug parser. Oh, crap. Right. I forgot. Cheats don't work in demo mode. Well, crap. Okay, so I can't initialize that. That's kind of... Whoopsie. Well, we might have to... Oh, jeez. That's not the best. I did that so that people couldn't accidentally do it at conventions, although I would be sincerely surprised if they could, given how specific those things are. Well... Frack. Okay, let's go ahead and open up our parser script. I'm opening up the dictionary first because parser is just way too common of a word. All right. Well, while that's happening, trying to think of anything really crazy that's happened. Let's go ahead and close some of this stuff. All of the combat stuff, because that's all I've been doing for a while. I'm going to look for parser. CS. Okay. And then I'm like 90% sure there it is. So I might just comment this out. That should let me turn on debugging if I so choose. And I guess while we're in here, let's go ahead and get into position for where we're going to need to check what's going wrong. So I think what's happening is when we're setting our subject, we're grabbing the wrong thing, essentially. So check for obscenities, check commands, validate sentence, set verb, then we're going to have set subject soon. Okay, we get the direct object adjectives, and then we get the direct object. Okay. So we're going to get to here, and this is where things kind of go wrong. So we'll see what that looks like in the debug view. And let's go ahead and play. I am actually going to, oh, this is interesting. I'm actually going to cheat and force load in, and I don't know what that's going to do to me, actually. So I can initialize a force load even in the demo. Normally you couldn't do that. If I type force load, I can do that. Let's go load. Yes. Oh, that's great. The preview image is still tinted blue on this. Okay, so let's go ahead. There are 2 audio listeners in the scene. Are you still pinging that? Oh, geez. Are you still going on? No. Okay, so that's just a camera thing. I'm not too worried about that then. Let's go ahead and take this, and we're going to do the fun thing where we do SOS, parser, debug. Okay, we have a robust debug going on. Let's clear this out. Turn off maximize on play. Now we're going to say, look at staff. Cool. So this is our debug stack from that. We get our setting sentences. We have 1 sentence. Makes sense. Joint words, commands, validating sentence, setting verb. Verb has been set to look. That is correct. Validating conversation, not a thing. Determiner, not a thing. Quantity, not a thing really. Here we are. Setting direct object. Direct object word is null. Okay, so this is coming about because we have not specified a direct object verb. So we have direct objects have been set to null. And let's go up here. Interesting. Also, yeah. Let's go back. Excuse me. So we have an explicit DO is set to false. Determiner type, interacting objects is greater than 0. Right. So if we're interacting, then we assume that we want to set that to this. So how should this actually be utilized? So it's weird because this is almost exclusively something that I want. No. So to illustrate, I guess, why I'm having trouble thinking this through, think about the phrase "look at the staff." Like I was laying out earlier, the implied subject there is you. You look at the staff. But if we switch the verb, so it's not look, instead it's throw at staff, it doesn't really make sense for you to throw yourself at the staff. And it, I mean, it'd be the same thing as like hit at staff. I can't just, for all verbs, pull the indirect object into the direct object namespace. I almost only want to do it on certain verb types. But I don't know what the best course of action there is. Because again, so let's look at it this way. Let's say I wanted to, let's say I'm interacting with the, you know what, here, hold on. This will be easier to just show. Fly through here. Okay, so I'm interacting with a note. If I say hit with staff, that makes sense. I mean, the output's not great, but it assumes that you want to hit the note with the staff. So that means that I do want to retain the implied, the implied. Geez, what is the way of saying the implied subject, basically, being the thing you're interacting with. But if that is with itself, maybe that's when I could do it. No, that wouldn't make sense. Well, maybe it would. So, for example, if I say this, it's going to say, it's going to try to use the note to examine the note. But maybe I can do a safety check and say if it was an implied subject, then if the indirect object is the same thing as the subject and it's said to be implied, then we wouldn't actually set note as the indirect object, and we would ignore this preposition. That's not great. I'm not sure about that. Let's go ahead and pause. Come back here. So, I suppose that makes sense. What do I have in terms of possibilities for the sentence? Go to definition. We check if it's a conversation, indirect object, direct objects, indirect objects, sentence. Excuse me. That's a terrible yawn. Direct object. Sentence. Blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that I have no way of knowing currently if it was an implied subject and therefore it should be treated as such. But I can't just assume that you'll never want to try and hit something with itself or do something with itself. So I need to allow that possibility, even though it will, as far as I know, it'll actually never be useful, but it's important for it to be there. So throw at, I guess that makes sense. Okay, so let's have a bool here. Implied subject is equal to false. And I'm going to comment some of these so that I don't forget what these are. So we're going to say the implied subject, the direct object has been set by assuming it is the object being interacted with. This sentence is or should be read as a conversation. The amount of subject to interact with. Determiner, I think, is the actual word stating how much of something to use. I.e. drop 7 keys. Drop or eat all apples. Okay, direction. The verb implies or direction explicitly. I don't think I spelled that right. There we go. Stated. Okay. Let's go ahead and go back here. And when we set our... Oops, crap. Right. Let's see, direct object is null. Here we are. We're also going to set sentence dot implied subject is equal to true. Okay. Now let's go to... Let's see. Let's go ahead and change our debug here. Set to subject is implied. Okay. Doing that too. Let's go ahead and we are going to say, I think we're going to be good for the direct object part. Now we need to go to our indirect object. And we want to say, wait, this is for the indirect object, right? Yep. Okay, let's come down here. And so we don't have this adjective only part that we care about. We do have our preposition, and this is where it gets funky. So our preposition would not equal null for the most part, which means that we want to go through to here. Please tell me I commented these. Okay, yes, I gave it an example. So use key on door, preposition type dot before implies that it points towards the subject before it, whereas the indirect object is the thing following it. No, I lied. I got that backwards. Sorry. The door is the subject of the action, and the key is the indirect object being used to enact something on that. And let's see. So at is after, I believe. So look at staff would imply that you're trying to look at the staff with whatever it uses. So yes. No, this is backwards, I think. Well, in any case. Okay. So if indirect object is not null here, I'm assuming this is going to be our thing. Yes. Check name. Okay. And then we're going to say if sentence dot direct object, oh, explicit do. This is interesting. Where are you set? You're a static variable. So I was already trying to keep track of that. Yeah, see, I already have this right there. Okay. So I was already trying to do that, it seems. So this is a leap in logic then that I've done. Interesting. Let's go ahead and find all references here. Let's see. That's equal to false. That's in our reset parser. Set direction. Interesting. Explicit do is false. Let's see. It's equal to true if we get 2. Yeah, that makes sense. So we don't really need this implied subject because explicit do is kind of being used there. So let's go back down to here. So we're not doing the adjective only. We don't care about that. Interacting objects not count. So indirect object is not going to be equal to null, which means that we're going to go to here. We're going to say for all of our interacting objects, if we check the name, which should check out, our count is greater than 0. It is not explicit do, or since direct object is not equal IO, or here is our problem. Um, so interacting objects.count being equal to 1 is not, it's not okay. I should have commented this so I know why I had that exception. Let's do this. Okay. So we're going to try that. So now it shouldn't try to double up. It should say, oh, my indirect object is the same as my direct object, and it's not explicit. Therefore, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and clear this. Come in here. Keep an eye on our keep an eye on our console over here on the right. Let's go ahead and grab our scepter. Take, let's clear this. Parser, debug. Okay, debugging robustly. Yeah, we'll go in here. Okay. And we're going to say, look at note. Cool. So that worked. Now we're going to do the fun stuff. Look at staff. Okay, so look at staff still doesn't work. Let's try this. Hit with staff. Okay, so that works. Hit staff with note. Okay, so that works. I think what we need to do next is figure out why. So let's try this. Look at staff. Okay, so yeah, look at staff is still going to try to grab the thing that you're interacting with. That's not ideal. Think. I wonder if I could cheat a little. Probably not. Let's see, here's our dictionary. This is gonna suck. We're gonna have to open up our words, which is gonna lag things a little bit. I need to come down to look. To JKL. Look. Here we are. So we have look. We should have. Okay, so we don't have joint words. Let's go down to pick. Pick. Joint words up. Yeah. Not great. I was thinking maybe I could make it a word combination situation where I could like combine look and at into one word, but I might not be able to. Geez, I also just realized that I don't think that my parser is equipped to do things like look at glass with rope or something like that. that's usually how you would structure saying look at something with something else. You wouldn't say look with, well, yeah, you're going to have to say at and with at some point, otherwise it sounds awkward. Um, Crap. So we fixed the doubling up issue, but we haven't. Did we actually? Hold on. We might have a problem here. Maybe. I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna try typing. Oh, that's probably not great. Got a weird issue about GUI skins. Okay. We're gonna skip through this. Let's go ahead and maximize on play for now. Start. Let's do a force load. One. So I'm just gonna try typing look staff. Make sure that that still works. It's possible that doesn't now. Okay, it does. Good. Take. Okay, so that works. So yeah, we're just in an annoying conundrum where pretty much look at whatever is the only real thing that needs to happen here. I really don't want to have a hard set exception for that though. So what can we do here? So the problem is that I need to if I'm interacting with an object, I need to be able to look at something else. Which wait, what? Okay, I must have typed it wrong. So if I want to say like look note, that's good. But look at note, we'll try to use, oh no, that's correct too. But now if I try to say look staff, that should work, I believe. Yep, but not look at staff. So this is really annoying because I mean, think about it like God, I'm trying to think of a way that I can phrase a sentence that will let me do something to the scepter with the note being the indirect object. Because it's not going to be hit with. It'd be like hit at staff. So it'd be like this. Right, that's backwards, isn't it? Oh, interesting. Actually, hold on. Yeah. At might be backwards? Or maybe not. At doesn't really work with the word hit. Trying to think of another thing that has at. I'm trying to think of all the prepositions that I currently have. There aren't a lot of prepositions that I really use. Oh, and then we do have weird situations like this where that worked, but that should not have worked because that would be hitting a note with a note, which is actually exceptionally odd. Let's clear this. Okay, we're going to minimize this. Clear. Let's go back to plain. Okay. Setting conjunctions, commands, sentence. Verb has been set to hit. That's correct. Setting direction, setting direct object word is null. Subject is implied, setting direct object to first interacting object. Setting indirect adjectives, indirect object has been set to null. Right, because this is right. Okay, so that's why we did that. Because if you try to hit something with itself and it's implied, then you probably meant to type it that way. Ugh, this is terrible. Okay. So I do actually want that. Ugh. God, that's terrible. Interacting objects is equal to 1 for things like hit with note. For implied subjects. Okay. Yeah, that's not ideal. But maybe I can change that? Maybe I... Maybe I want it to be like this? No, hold on. Jeez. I don't want a blanket or statement here. I want this to only be true, I guess, if this. So this should only be taken into account if our direct object is equal to IO, I think. Right? Because otherwise, we don't care. Let's see. What else? Let's go ahead and test that real quick, actually. Oh, I also just realized I forgot to post in Discord. Hold on, let me take care of this real quick. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in there. I'm gonna also jump into just the castle level by itself. Or actually, you know what? Nah, we'll continue on like this. I'm probably going to change it so that I load into the sewer, then go back up. That way I can just, load into that spot immediately. Go ahead and maximize on play. Start. Force load. 1, oh, yes. Okay. Go ahead and run through here. Take. Open. Let this go. And while that's happening, so let's try drop staff. Staff. Okay. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? So, we're currently going through and fixing some parser bugs. Because I want to make sure that my build is polished up for Anime Central this weekend. Okay, so look staff works. Now if I type look at staff, yes, that brought that back. How did that bring that back? How That's not exactly great, but okay. Let's go ahead and take this. And we're going to jump over here. Well, hello, William. Thank you for the host. And welcome back, Cache Override. How are you doing tonight? Doing fine, Scorpio. That's good. How about you? Well, like always, we'll see how this goes. But pretty, got that pre-convention jitters, kinda. You know, I'm running through my build, making sure everything works. Little sad that I couldn't get the new combat system in there, but it's nowhere near stable enough and finished enough really for me to do that. So just trying to get the build into a good state so I can show it off to a bunch of people that have never seen it before, and hopefully I will get good feedback. All right, so let's go ahead and try this again. We're going to say look at note. Okay, so that's doubling up again. We're going to say hit with staff. Okay, so that works. So doing this didn't actually help us. And that must be because we're not really setting the indirect object? Thank you, Zach. Oh, God, I'm going to try to get this. Zach OX 10,000? Or I guess that's 1,000. I don't know. You'll have to tell me how to say your name properly. I am terrible at names. Either way, welcome to the Devstream. Let's see. I don't think I've ever asked, what's your day job? My day job is I am a game developer for a small game development company in Indianapolis. We make a couple of different types of games. It's been largely educational and serious stuff. But we've been doing stuff like AR, VR recently, so we're trying to, break into that, see what we can do, and have fun. It's a nice place. It's very small and get to hang out with my coworkers a lot. Zach OX. So is it Zacho X or is it Zach OX? Because I'm assuming that that's pronounced Zacho X with the X like having that break in there. I could be wrong though. Thank you for being understanding though. So I think our problem here is that we are looping through. How is our indirect object not the same thing? Oh, it's because this is exactly what it's doing. Right. Crap. Right. No. This was the expected behavior. Right. Okay. This was. Why would I do it this way though? Actually, now that I think about it. Well, it's not necessarily. I mean, I am bad with names in most respects, but usually, whenever new viewers come onto the stream, I'm terrible at pronouncing their name unless it's something very very easy. Um, so typically, whenever I see someone's name that I haven't seen before, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Um, okay, so it is Zacho X. I will probably call you just Zacho then, because the extra X makes it an awkward pause, kind of. But either way, doing VR too. Oh, cool. What are you working with? Are you doing like Oculus, Vive? Are you doing the, I guess Oculus Go now is a thing, or Gear VR and all that. Is your name really hard to say then, Scorpio? I know something about having difficult names and names that people normally don't spell correctly. Um, both my sister has a weird spelling for her name, so people never spell it right, and people normally can't get my full name into a field uh, because Christopher is apparently a very long name, so it usually gets cut off somewhere. Okay, so I don't know if we can actually do this. I think that's a logic problem. So our adjectives is less than or equal to 0. We don't have any adjectives in the sentence. And essentially what we're trying to do is we want you to be able to set the indirect object if it matches the direct object for some verbs, but not for others. And I really, really, really don't want to have a hard code for that. Like, say, unless it's looking, then do this. I don't like that. Let's see. First person shooter puzzle game. Both. I'm assuming by both that's Oculus and Vive. Can't even open my project. Oof. Yeah, that's always fun. Um, yeah, we actually just went through that at work where for some reason all of our licenses they weren't revoked, they were just reset. So we had to hunt down our license serials and then plug them into our Unity hub area again. I don't know why it did that, but it did. It is misspelled, but that's just because my name has multiple spines and mine is the least common. Yeah, I know what that's like. Okay, so what to do about this? We can't. I'm trying to think of other situations in which we wouldn't want the indirect object and the direct object to match if it's inferred, or if it's not explicit. Most of the time you do want that, but not in cases like this. It's dumb. The other project opened immediately. So it's a license error just with that project? That's weird. So if our direct object matches the indirect object, and our interacting objects.count is equal to 1, we wouldn't want that to necessarily always work. I'm just trying to think through how people would say this stuff. So like look at staff. In that case, we would basically want staff to be a direct object, not an indirect object. Hit with staff. You would want the thing you're interacting with to be the thing that you hit with staff. Makes sense there. Eat with staff is a weird thing to say, but it would mean you'd want to eat the thing you're interacting with the staff. It's weird, but makes some sort of sense. This is why I hate the English language sometimes. We get really, really stupid grammatical things that I have to try and figure out. What would be a good case here? This is really, really frustrating. And the worst part about this is that it's probably going to be a very, very simple fix. It's just I gotta think the actual logic to make that work. Oh yeah, no. This game is just. I think it would be physically impossible to localize this game because it's not just the parser would have to be rewritten. All of the UI would have to obviously have localization. That's the easy part. But the parser would have to be rewritten, and then all of the textures would have to be redone. So, no, not going to happen. That would suck so much. So we can let this fall through here and then have some if checks here. But I don't want to be specific like that. There surely has to be some sort of specific way of doing this. Except I don't think I can come up with a good way except for allowing look to skip past this stage. Really didn't want to do that. So you do stuff like this. If sentence dot verb dot type, not command type. I guess it's dot verb, isn't it? I think that's what I want. Is equal to verb type dot. I think it's just... Oh, shoot. Nope. Nope. It is... Jeez. Okay. Look or examine. So actually, it would be this. I think that might work. It's obviously hard coded, and I hate that. But let's see if it works. I also completely forgot to do what I was going to do, which was go into the sewer and then come back so that I could just keep loading into that area. Oops. Okay. So let's go ahead and skip through here again. Start. Force load. Oh man, it's really hot in my house. I should have turned on the AC. Gotta love that summer. The fact that we don't get spring anymore. Let's go ahead and take this. Run in here. And this time I will remember to go into the sewer and then come back up so I can just keep loading in directly where I need to be. Also, that will let me test my loading. Make sure that it actually works. Okay, so we're going to drop staff. Look at staff. Okay, that worked. Nice. Let's take that and say look at staff. And, okay, so that still doesn't work. That makes sense because we wouldn't have fixed it yet. Now here's the other thing. Let's drop the staff. Look at staff. Okay. Now let's try saying hit at staff. That's terrible. Or just hit, or hit staff. Okay, so that all works. So look at staff. That works just fine. Okay, so let's take. There we go. I'm gonna run through here. Hit with note. Nice. Then look at note. Nice. Okay. Now look at staff. Okay. So we're getting close. Oh, man, maybe the look at stuff should actually be pretty explicit. Ugh. Let me try something real quick. Dang it! I forgot to go to the sewer. Oh well. Are you gonna do any of the Indianapolis Quidditch matches this year? I've never really done the Quidditch stuff. Mostly because I don't know. I don't think I would enjoy it. I'm not much of a running around sports guy. I'm very much a anaerobic sports player. I play sports where you have to have huge bursts of energy all at once rather than long form slow burn sports. I'm just not good for that. Let's go ahead and clear this. We're gonna come back to here. So no, I probably won't be doing that. At least not. I don't plan to. Something might come up and I do it. But so I think what I want to do here is actually I want to move this. And I want to do this. No, hold on. No. Time out. So I need to have the examine verb type stuff only crop up. So I need to have that be the case if both of these, I think. So let me get rid of this. So I think what I want to do is this or and this. think that's good. So let's try that. So we only want... No. Right? Yes? No. Okay. So if interacting objects.count is equal to 1 and examine, and the verb is examining, then we would want you to fall through. If the sentence.directObject does not match IO, then we would want to fall through, but only if it's explicit DO? No. Maybe. Because the problem is that we're doing look at staff. Right. Well, not playing it. The team is already set. I mean, watch. Oh, watch. Sorry, I didn't realize you were talking about, like, I was going to say professional sports, but more professional sports than hobbyist sports. No, probably not. I'm not much of a sports ball person. Even sports ball like Quidditch, of which I probably know more of the rules than baseball or football. Well, not really. There aren't that many rules. Although I don't really know football rules very well. Okay, so we have to reorder this in such a way that it works. We need. It's almost actually like we need to get our indirect object set before we set our direct object. But that doesn't make sense grammatically for the most part. It's really only in this weird case where I'm trying to look at stuff. Think. Hello, Dusted Ham. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? So, we need to organize this in a way that makes sense. If direct object does not equal IO and verb type is not equal to examine, then maybe this will work. Let's try this, question mark. Oh, and I'm also going to actually wrap this because I want to make sure that those go together. Okay, let's try this one. See how that works. BRB, all right. Doing okay, refactoring some stuff. How are you doing? I'm... Got the pre-convention jitters, trying to get a stable build out. Well, the build's stable, there's just some minor usability tweaks that I want to make, so we're looking at parser stuff today. And that's great because it's a very, very specific parser bug, which is why I'm going to be doing a lot of humming and hawing while I try to figure out what the logic is that I just need to turn slightly to make it work the way I want. Because that's how language works. What are you currently refactoring? If you don't mind me asking. Let's go force load again. Okay. And this time I'm just going to run straight into the sewer so that I don't have to keep doing this stuff. Oh, you know what's really funny is... yes! This is just set to follow me along the axis here, so it'll just follow us forever. That's funny. Okay. So see? Take this. Let's drop a note here. I'm spoiling some puzzles for people if they haven't seen these already, so I apologize. I don't think I'll ever know how I'm doing. That's probably true. But I mean, why would you want to know? Also, I just had a really fun idea. What if the loading progress bar was the same color as your favorite color? Right now, I think it's hard coded to blue, but it would be actually kind of nice if it was your favorite color. Just another nice touch. All right, so that should be our save file that we can actually just load into now. But let's go ahead and say look at staff. Okay, not what I wanted, but that's fine because we're not at that point yet. So let's say look at note. Good. Hit with note. Good. Hit at note. Okay, good. And look at staff. Dang it! So how did this one fall through? Explicit DO is not true. And that means that we're going to just immediately jump over to here. So interacting objects.count is equal to 1 here, which is true. And that means we would move on to here. And our verb type is set to examine, which means that it must be thinking this is true, maybe? Or perhaps it's falling through even farther. I guess maybe I need to put in some more robust debugs. Sure. All right, we're going to set up some more robust debugs. So let's go ahead and right about here, we're going to say if debug and robust debug, not star star, and robust debug. Let's go ahead and say debug.log, or olog apparently, log, searching interacting objects for, we'll just say for IO. Okay. Let's go ahead and I probably could actually just do this. Okay, let's go ahead and grab that. And actually, no, let me find all references here, make sure that I wasn't doing explicit checks for that. Okay, so I am doing both. So we'll do both. If debug and robust debug log. Let's go ahead and copy this. Oof. You know what, actually, I guess I would want to say, put that down here. Oof. Adjective count. And then we'll go ahead and say plus sentence dot io adjectives dot count. Okay. Movement code. It's always silly. I don't think I've ever seen movement code that wasn't silly. Okay, so we get the adjective count. That way I don't have it logging out every time I do this. So let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? No, let's go ahead and bounce this back. We'll move this, and we're going to say, paste that in there. Checking. Let's go ahead and do string.format. Yada, yada, yada. We're going to go ahead and pull out io.name. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put in another debug here. No IO adjectives, except actually there should be checking for matching IO adjectives. Come down here, paste that in. No IO adjectives, comma, or space, period. Checking. Ugh. Ugh. Validating IO. Okay. Go ahead and save that. All right. So, woof. I really don't want to do it like this, but we're going to have to. I'm going to paste this in here. This is going to be a big debug. Wow, that was just not the right one. Okay, so we're going to scratch this. Say string.format, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're going to say... This is going to suck so hard. Do equals IO and explicit. I don't think I spelled explicit right there. No, I did. Right? I did. Okay. Just looks wrong to me for some reason. All right. So this is going to be like a really long debug, which is unfortunate. Do does not equal IO. And then we're going to say new line. Interacting count is equal to 1, 2, and then ending with, let's go ahead and say verb type. With 3. So I have this massive formatting statement that I need to do, which is going to suck really hard because it's just going to be a bunch of this, essentially. But this will let us know for certain what is going wrong. Excuse me. Dry throat. And finally, this. I apologize that we are doing the most boring debugging on the planet, but it is going to be useful. And of course, it will make the parser better. So, all right, let's go ahead and clear this. And fortunately, we can just load back in. We won't have to keep flying through the castle walls anymore. Oh, by the way, Dusted, did you get 2018 working for your project, or did you revert? I know you were having issues with that last week. Let's go ahead and clear this. Start over. Clear through here. Start. Force load. Let's go ahead and do, I think, yeah, here. Ooh. Okay, yeah. And this is why I have these preview images. Okay, so we want you, yes, and yes. I gave up. Use Unity app, so if you have a few installs anyway. Interesting, though. I wonder what was causing the problem. I do have the scepter. Good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say look at note. Good. Look at staff. Okay, so it's still broken. That's fine. Let's go ahead and pause this. Go ahead and set up our debugging. So we'll say SOS parser debug. Okay. Clear this. All right. So now, I got the hiccups. IO word has been set to staff. Setting direct object implied. Searching interaction. Oh. Interesting. That's very interesting. It doesn't get there. Right. That makes sense because that's not all that it needs. That's not the only place that needs to be checked, is it? We also need to come down here. Right. Okay. Let's see. Find item. We're going to look through all of our items. We're going to look through and explicit DO, or if it doesn't. So, indirect object, yeah, we're getting down to here, which means that we are getting to some place that's calling go to finish, which I'm assuming is here, because our indirect object does not equal our direct object here. So let's go ahead and stop playing. Use Unity. Oh wait, sorry. Might be a borked install. Haven't tried reinstalling yet. Nah, it's possible. I mean, 2018 is also still relatively new. I'd say that I would have trouble believing that they would ship with something like that, except when 2017.1 came out with Timeline, I remember that the Mac version of it crashed builds. So in 2017.1, starting a timeline would just crash your build. Some of you might remember that from last year, from last year's PopCon. I was like scrambling to try and figure it out, and I couldn't fix it because it was literally impossible to have Mac builds run anything with Timeline. It would just instantly crash. So I got lucky because I had a friend with a Windows laptop that he let me borrow. Anyway, so let's go ahead and I'm pretty confident that this is where it's happening. Or actually, it's probably about here. This is brutal. So we wouldn't have more than one items count. And here we are. So this is where it's happening. So we want to essentially do the same thing we were doing up above. So right about here. And we want to say and sentence.verb type does not equal that. That's Sentence dot verb type does not equal verb type dot examine. I think this is what we want. Maybe. No. Okay, got to think about how to structure this. I'm going to wait until they get more on the job system done anyway. I think it's still experimental in 18.1, correct? So we want to allow our direct object to be set. Ah, frack. Shoot. Ah! This won't work. No, no, it won't. So we have a bigger problem, I think. Um, so what I was doing there is I was going to basically prevent the indirect object from being set. But the problem is that it thinks our indirect object is the staff. So if you type look at staff while you're looking at a note, it's going to try to look at the note with the staff. But is that right? At should be pointing to the other. Let me play this real quick, actually. Or I guess actually I could just look at my dictionary here. We're going to see what at is listed as. At. Are you listing at before? You point to after. Okay. Okay. So that means that if I say like hit note at staff, that's obviously broken English, but that would mean it would try to hit the staff with the note. Let's confirm that that's the case. Yeah, it's hard to say. 2018 has a lot of cool new stuff in it, but it's obvious. It's also like really not that stable. Like they were pretty. It's pretty obvious that they reluctantly released it when they did. Okay, so I think we want to do one again. Yeah. That's hilarious. The note is on the ground. It's not floating in the preview image. That's funny. So I want to say like hit at staff. So hit with the staff. Okay, let's try this. Hit note at staff. Hit note with staff. Okay. Hit note on staff. Okay, so that I think makes more sense. The idea is that you would be trying to hit the staff with the note on top of it. Essentially, that's a really awkward way of breaking that down. It's more like put apple on table. You're putting the apple on top of the table. So the action is being done to the apple. And it is, well, yes, put is being done to the apple. And it's being put on the table. So these are backwards again? Ah, dang it. I keep flip-flopping on the direction that prepositions should go. So, hit note with staff, that's correct. Hit note at staff, I guess that's also correct because that would imply that you're hitting the note towards the staff. That's really weird, but that is what that implies. So actually, I guess this is correct. But we are running into the problem of anyway. So the main reason that I stopped coding and came over here is because hello Sky, welcome back. How are you doing tonight? The main problem here is that we don't want to set the indirect object to be staff. We actually want to supersede this at and make the direct object staff. This is the most awkward thing ever, which I think means I actually want to do this. I want to leave this as it is. I want to come all the way down here to the bottom and essentially switch everything around. So I need to do this. This is hideous, the most ugly thing ever. But I'm going to say if sentence.verb.verb type is equal to verb type dot examine and not explicit direct object and sentence dot direct not direction dot direct object does not equal null and sentence dot indirect object does not equal null, then I basically want to swap them out. I want to say sentence dot, I think I want to say set direct objects, sentence dot indirect object, followed by sentence dot indirect object is equal to null. Let me make sure that this doesn't like add to it. Crap, it does. Crap, it does. So I guess I want to clear that. Okay. Clear. Okay. This is really a bit of a hack solution. I think direct object just, yeah, does that. All right. I don't know if this is gonna be okay. Ugh. Doing good. That's good. How about you? I think people have seen me degrade from we'll see how the Devstream goes to nervous laughter, basically. Yeah, it's a bit of a monstrosity. This is the parser code, so I try not to touch it very much anymore because it's not that it's brittle, it's just that it's set up in a pretty good way. And anytime I make a change to it, I freak out that maybe I will have messed something else up farther down the line. And this is exactly the situation in which unit testing would be great, except I don't really write unit tests, so I don't have those, and I cannot therefore use them. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start force load. Let's go to 1 load, yes. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things. So we're going to say look at staff. Nice. Now look at note. Nice. Look at staff with note. Yeah. Well, actually, let's go ahead and see what that sent out. SOS parser debug. Let's clear our console. Because I'm curious to know what this did. Because it seems like it flipped them around when they shouldn't have. So let's go ahead and stop playing there. Tried the demo, by the way. It's very good. Tried nuke control, but nothing happened. I don't think that it knows nuke. I could be wrong there, but I don't think it does. I'm going to go ahead and also do if debug and do I want this to be robust? No, I'll just say if debug. Debug.log. Looking at object reversing. No, let's just say setting sentence do to IO. Okay, And in addition to that, okay, making sure that those aren't something else I need to clear. Um, so in addition to that, I need to say, let's see, if not explicit DO. Interesting. I guess let's just run through and see if that actually gets spat out. I'm assuming it does, but just be sure. Um, yeah, I really should update the demo because, it's almost 2 years out of date at this point. Kind of awkward, just a little bit. Is it 2 years? Yeah, I think it is almost 2 years. I mean, it's largely the same. It's like probably about 70 to 80% the same now. And it gets all of the core ideas of the gameplay and mechanics across. It's just that it's not up to date anymore. But probably what's going to happen is once I get the combat system in there, I'll re-upload a new build. 2 years, that's a long time. It is a very long time. That's how long I've been working on this. I know. I need to not be as slow. Force load. I'm sorry, I'm a perfectionist. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to say SOS parser debug. We're not going to do a robust debug because all we want to do is check this. So we're going to say look at staff with note. Indirect object has been set to null. Interesting. Let's see, we have one sentence. Determiner set to null. Setting direct object. Direct objects have been set to invoice. Setting direct objects. IO word has been set to note. Set to null. Interesting. Indirect object has been set to null. So we have a word. Okay. So it's not null, which means it goes down to finish. Interesting. That's interesting. I don't actually set. Oh no, that's saying if my indirect object word is set to null. It's not null there. Okay, so we're gonna go through here, go through our interacting objects. Maybe I should set up robust debugging. Okay. Let's clear this out. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not actually been 2 years, though. I think it's been about closer to 1.5. It'd be 2 years in November, I believe. Okay, so setting verb, setting determiner, setting quantity, direction set to null, direct object word is null, subject is implied, direct objects have been set to invoice, setting indirect adjectives, search interacting adjectives for IO, checking invoice, no validating IO. Okay. So we don't get to here, which means that this is being split over. Interesting. How come that is not doing what I would expect. Oh, it's because of this. It's because I... Oh, jeez. Okay. Go ahead and change this. Maybe I just need to say if it's an explicit direct object at all, then I can do that. So basically if that, or this, then we can fall through. I think that makes sense, right? Because if we have an explicit direct object, then we don't even care if the indirect object is the same as the direct object, because at that point it's been specified. So you would have literally had to have typed something like hit note with note for it to freak out. Although that does bring up a good question. If I have multiple notes, which do exist, I have not tried hitting note with note when I have two notes in my hand or in my inventory. I don't actually know what that's going to do, because it would have to ask for clarification for both of them. Say which note would you like to hit the... Well, no, it'd be like which note would you like to hit, and then which note would you like to hit the selected note with. Oof. So that's a double whammy that I'm going to have to come up with at some point. Okay, let's try this again. Go through. Let's go ahead and turn on maximize on play. Click. Start. Force. Load. Oh, not take. So we're going to say look at note there. Staff with note. Well, that didn't work. Look at staff. Okay. Look at note. Look staff. Look note. Cool. So that at the very least works. Let's go ahead and clear everything. Take a look at this. Parser debug. Let's go ahead and clear this, and we're going to say... Okay. So what do we got here? Oh, I didn't really break that. Indirect object has been set to royal invoice. That is correct. Looking at object. Okay, there we go. I forgot to reset that part. Come on. Here we are. What? Was explicit DO false there? Interesting. I guess we'll also go ahead and do this. Gotta increment everything by one now. Okay. Because apparently that is evaluating as true, or not? No, it's evaluating as false here, because this should only happen if we're not at an explicit DO. Interesting. Delete all references. It's set to false on reset. It's set to true if we... That's something else. It's set to true if we... I'm sorry. Oh, did I do that? No, that's correct, yes. If our direct object is equal to null, then we have an explicit DO that's not true. Otherwise, it should be set to true. Okay. Did we get to that then? Direct object word is null. How's the direct object? Oh, it's probably... It's because look at staff with note is setting the direct object to be implied to be you. You look at the staff, which is now the... Oh, geez, this is where we get into nested grammar. That would be the... I don't even know what that would be. Crap! Ah, double crap. So, yeah, what's happening there is essentially the prepositions are getting into a fight with each other. Ah! Do I have multiple prepositions or multiple indirect objects then? Let's go ahead and go down here to our debug. And let's see, blah, 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 blah. Go to here. Let's go ahead and just debug the amount of indirect objects we have. Debug.log sentence.indirect objects.count. Okay. Do I manually set this? I kind of do. Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, that is problematic. Oh, that sucks really hard. Okay. Now come the telltale hms and haws. I don't think we're gonna have multiple indirect objects because I'm just setting my indirect objects here. Like I'm setting the indirect object manually. What was I setting? IO word has been set to note. Okay. So let's see. Sentence.find the first word that contains the preposition type. Our preposition is not equal to null. Let's put in some robust debug logs. If debug and robust debug.log preposition is set to searching for IO Let's go ahead and do string.format. Okay. Set that to be equal to prep.word. It's all fine. It's all gravy. And actually, I guess I should say type then prep type. Okay. And then once we do that, interesting. Prep. Right. So basically start at the front of the sentence, move to the rear. Then why do I search? Why do I do that? Why would I search for it here and then I would do it again here? I guess it's because I need the index. But I don't really know why I couldn't. Whatever, that's fine. So if it is equal to preposition type dot before. Let's go ahead and debug this. Let's go ahead and grab this as well. Copy this. sentence preposition is set to before type, searching for IO. I guess, let's see, before preposition. Okay. And let's go ahead and just copy that. Put that down here. I think I only have before and after, right? Yeah. Let's see. Since preposition is set to after type, searching for IO after preposition. Okay. So yeah, this is not exactly great. So if that's done, then we come down to here. Okay. So let's see what that looks like in practice. I think what that's going to say is basically we are going to fall through, it's going to look through our indirect objects after the second preposition. I mean, that would have to be it, right? Because, well, no, that doesn't make sense. The first word should have been at. That's a preposition, and it should have been found because we start at 0 and then we work our way forward through the sentence. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Annoying. Very, very annoying. All right. Let's also go ahead and put a debug here. So we'll say if debug and robust debug debug.log string.format preposition index at, we'll go ahead and say, oops, at index. Okay. So now we should know where in the sentence it thinks the index is for the preposition. That will let me know if it's targeting the first or the second preposition there. It'll tell us which word it thinks is the preposition, and then it will tell us which direction it's searching in. Woof. A lot of effort for this. And this is still the same bug that we've been working on all night. I hate doing doing parser bug fixes. They're just so. It's such a delicate task because it's all just logic, basically. This is why language is a terrible, terrible thing. Let's go ahead and click through here. Start force load 1. Load, yes. Okay. So SOS parser debug. Let's clear this. And we're going to say look at staff with note. All right. Direction set to null direct object is null. Subject is implied. Setting direct object to first interacting object, which would be the note. Adjectives. Preposition at index 1. So it's the first one. Sentence preposition is set to after type. Searching for IO after. What? But how? Staff is right there. So what's going on there? Index shouldn't be wrong. was at 1. So, that's why I don't break here. So, I this sucks. So, let's get rid of that because that's what I'm fixing. I think what I want to say here is sentence.set indirect objects. Oh no, I can't do that because that's interact. Ah! Okay, let me go to definition here. Well, I did talk about doing this, so this is something that I need to add. Public list TQ word or RO, whatever, TQ word. We're going to call these liar, not list. Direct object words is equal to new list TQ word. We're not going to do anything with that right now, but we will use the indirect object one. This is something that I recently thought about adding to my sentence structure because I need it for cached words like keys. Because at a certain point, it gets hard for the parser to retain all of this information by itself, so it's good to have the sentences sort of keep track of this stuff so I can easily grab it. Anyway, so we're going to change this to indirect object words. And, oh boy, we're going to have fun with this. Let's go ahead and do public void set indirect object words params TQ words. We're not going to do a for each loop. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than words dot length I plus plus indirect object words dot add words of I. I very rarely use the same line for loop. It's almost blasphemy, really. Let's go ahead and copy this. Time being, set direct object words. Okay, same thing. We come back over here, and we are going to have to say okay. Sentence dot set indirect object words. Sentence dot sentence of I. We're getting a little complicated here for my tastes. Yeah, we're approaching refactor territory with this. That's not comfortable. That's really not comfortable. Go ahead and grab this. Jeez. So, we might go ahead and cheat here and say if indir object is equal to null, then we'll do that. Same for up here. So this should prevent it from doubling up at the very least and overwriting it. But it won't really fix the problem here. We're going to, I think, let's see, let's go ahead and go down here. Let's try running that real quick with those changes. And we might not really go any farther than that for now. Mostly because I'm uncomfortable making that big of a refactor on the parser like 3 days before I need to have a build. Well, technically, I'm making a build tonight and testing it, but yeah, I don't want to do a major parser overhaul just a day or two before I have to show it off. So I think this is a obscure enough bug that it's not really going to be a problem. I don't think very many people are going to be trying to look at a staff with a piece of paper. Um, it's frustrating, but I think that that's the best way to progress for this. So at the very least, if I do this, okay. So at the very least, now it prioritizes the first part of the sentence. It's still weird because it really should say like, how does one look at a staff with a note? But the fact that it's at least correct here means that it's at least somewhat good. Let's go ahead and say look at staff. Make sure that that still works. Look at note. Look staff. Look at room. Look nice. Look. Cool. Okay. God, that's a massive paragraph. Okay, I think we fixed the major problem, which was this. That's working now, whereas in the past it would try to look at the staff with the note, or it would just try to look at the note, and if we tried to look at note, we would get a double up, and it would try to look at the note with the note, or it would try to look at the room. So this is, we fixed a pretty significant usability issue, because I already know that a lot of people have in the past tried to say like look at staff, and then it just looks at the room, and people are like, I don't, what's going on? So yeah, I think we're not going to really progress any further in terms of the parser debugging tonight, just because it's just too risky. It really is. Out of everything in this entire project, the only thing that I'm really uncomfortable messing with is my parser. And that's because whenever I make a change, even if it seems like a very small one, it can daisy chain into something unexpected. So it's important for me to just lock this stuff down before a build and just say, okay, I know roughly what it is, and it seems unlikely to really affect people's experience. So, so we'll put a note in there for that. But you know what? Because I didn't get as far in the parsing that I wanted to do today, we are going to go ahead and switch it so that the loading screen loading bar is your favorite color now. Because that's going to be a nice little quick thing, and it'll be nice to go off on a high note like that. For the Devstream, because normally, I go off very sad and disappointed that I didn't get everything done that I wanted to. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, because that'll be nice and relaxing. So let's go to, I guess actually we'll do the prefab. Let's see, view loading. Go ahead and open this up, pull this in, turn you on. All right. Go to our progress bar, our fill area. I think we want the fill. Yes. So let's go ahead and select that. Open up our loading view. BRB. All right. And we're going to go ahead and say slider. I guess I would probably put it here. Let's say serialize field, private image, progress bar. Progress. We'll say loading image. And let's go ahead and tooltip that. The image used by the loading slider bar to indicate progress. Capitalize that. Okay. And all we're going to do on open, I was going to say on awake, but actually no, it does need to be on open. Um, let's go ahead and we're just going to say loading image dot color is equal to, and this is where it's going to get fun. I think I want to say global variables dot dot color check session dot favorite color, and we want it to say rich text is false, but include hash is true, and then I have to say color extensions dot hex to color based on that. All right. So I believe that will do what we want. Let me go ahead and peek this real quick. Rich text. Oh, that's rather awkward now, isn't it? Oh, no, that's fine. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and let that compile. So now, whenever we open up our loading view and it starts to show progress, it should actually change the color of the loading bar to be your favorite color. Minor touch, but, you know, it's a nice, easy thing for us to do to go out tonight. Once it's compiled, I'll actually be able to assign stuff. One day would be nice. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and minimize this. Hit apply. Go ahead and delete you, turn off our UI, and then let's give this a shot. So first we're going to continue. That will show us the blue progress bar. I think it will almost be the same shade of blue as it was in the past. It might be a little darker. Let's go ahead and maximize on play here. Start. Force load. 1. Load. Yes. Okay, so there's our blue. Looks like that works. Let's go ahead and quit. Yes. No. Okay, we're going to skip through here. Go ahead and type start. That's a bug. The background there just kind of like snapped to full. It should have gracefully faded forward. Let's go to a new game. We're going to say, what would be a good name? Obviously hero. Yes. We'll do normal mode. We'll be right-handed this time, and our favorite color is going to be red. And yes. And yes. And all right! Loading bar is now your favorite color. So, victory. Very, very tiny victory. Let's go ahead and quit out. I'm curious what some of the... Oh, right. That won't work with that. Quit. Yes. No. Yeah, so you can see the pop-in that happens there. That's kind of frustrating. Not really sure why it just goes straight to that. But that's something for me to look at. Let's go ahead and do one more new game. Let's see. What should this one's name be? Let's do Tommy. For some reason, I thought Tommy from Power Rangers. I don't know why. Let's go right-handed, and this time let's be yellow, orange, green, violet. Violet might be interesting. Let's try violet. Oh wait, no. Oh shoot. Right. Obviously, it's got to be green because Tommy was the Green Ranger. He was the White Power Ranger first, and then I think he came back as the Green Ranger. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. But it also kind of does, so I don't know. I don't remember my Power Rangers lore very well. Alright, there it is. Yeah, cool. So that's nice. Nice little touch. Nice thing to go out on tonight, I think. After 2 hours of me just like banging my head against the table trying to get a parser bug to be fixed. And only 2/3 fixing it. So, alright. So I think that's a good place to stop for the night. Announcements. So I'm not going to be doing the Devstream this Thursday or this Saturday because I'm going to be out of town. I am heading up to Anime Central in Rosemont, I believe is the town name. Rosemont, Illinois. It's like 40 minutes out of Chicago. and I will be showing off TextQuest there. I've never been there before. I I ran into the coordinator for it on the train jam this year on the way out to GDC. We talked at like 3 a.m. because we were both in the observation car at that point. Um, and he invited me. Well, actually, I think I heard about this through another developer that I knew. I sent in my application, didn't hear back from them until I ran into the coordinator on the train. He's like, "Oh, well, hopefully my response here is good enough for you." So I'm going to be showing there this weekend. That'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I'll be back. I will probably be doing a dev stream on Tuesday. I'm assuming that I'll be okay for that. Um, we'll see how bad I guess things go. If there's like horrendous bugs, then I might panic and go into bug fixing mode for the days immediately after that. But we'll see. So to summarize that, no dev streams on Thursday or Saturday this weekend or this week because I'm going to be out of town, and we should be back next week. So, all right. You need to start mingling with the community. Yeah, it's hard to do depending on where you are. Like I ran into him on a train going out to GDC from Chicago. Like that's a very specific place to meet someone. Um, but yeah, it's hard depending on where you are. I don't actually know if you would have a harder time than I do or not. Uh, Given that you're up in the middle of nowhere, Canada, which is I think technically worse than the middle of nowhere, Indiana. So either way, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. We got loading screens to tint your favorite color, and we fixed some, not really game breaking, but user experience breaking parser issues. So, yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I grew up in what could generously be described as a town. Um, barely even a town. All right, so yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.